Food security and particular political systems. The cause of sudden famines is very complicated, but evidence suggests a correlation between famine and non-democratic political systems. In democratic societies, there is more accountability and powerful interest groups, which lessens the chance for famine. Welcome to Suya e-learning for food security climate change, school feeding program, nutrition education for all. When you have bad governance and poor accountability from your local government leaders, then you are doomed to live under control of cartels and fools. We hope you subscribe to our channel YouTube at Suya Mombasa and share this links with your friends or family.
Agriculture and food. Agriculture can help reduce poverty, raise incomes and improve food security for 80% of the world's poor, who live in rural areas and work mainly in farming. The World Bank Group is a leading financier of agriculture. Healthy, sustainable and inclusive food systems are critical to achieve the world's development goals. Agricultural development is one of the most powerful tools to end extreme poverty, boost shared prosperity, and feed a projected 10 billion people by 2050. Growth in the agriculture sector is 2 to 4 times more effective in raising incomes among the poorest compared to other sectors. But agriculture-driven growth, poverty reduction, and food security are at risk. Multiple shocks, from COVID-19 related disruptions to extreme weather, pests, and conflicts, are impacting food systems. The goal of ending global hunger by 2030 is currently off track. Conflicts, climate change, and high food prices are driving food and nutrition insecurity. To care for the soil, we must understand that it is made of both living and non-living parts. The non-living parts of the soil are formed from broken down rock and decaying plant and animal material, such as leaves that have fallen on the soil and begun to rot. The living parts are the tiny creatures that live in the soil. Some of these, such as termites, worms and beetles, are large enough for us to see, but most are too small to see without a microscope. We call these microbes, and they include millions of tiny bacteria and fungi. Microbes and soil fertility. Microbes are very important for improving soil fertility. They take the non-living parts of the soil and convert them into nutrients that can be used by plants. Chemical fertilizers, apart from being expensive and hard to access, can kill microbes. This is one of the reasons that they reduce soil fertility in the long term.
to successfully implement its commitment to advancing Kenya's bottom-up economic transformation agenda for food security and enhancing the capacity of farmers. Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development recognizes the need for a strategic and comprehensive communication approach, enhancing visibility of ministry projects. The ministry has been actively involved in numerous citizen-centered policies, programs, and projects aimed at boosting agricultural productivity and ensuring food security. Creating a community of practice. The ministry aims to foster collaboration and knowledge sharing among stakeholders through the creation of communities of practice. This involves using digital platforms and in-person forums to facilitate continuous dialogue and the exchange of innovative ideas in agriculture. The consultancy firm will be instrumental in managing these platforms, ensuring active participation, and driving engagement that results in strengthened networks and partnerships across the agricultural sector.
Head onto the streets. The generation of Kenyans born between 1997 and 2012, the Gen Zs, have borne the brunt of the country's slow economic growth. If a country has slow economic growth, it typically experiences higher unemployment rates, reduced income levels and decreased investments. It leads to an overall lower living standard. Over the last 10 years, between 2013 and 2023, Kenya's average growth rate has been 4.52%. This is less than half of the 10% growth rate that President Mwai Kibaki had envisaged in Vision 2030. The National Development Plan's goal was to transform Kenya into a middle-income country providing a high quality of life to all its citizens by the year 2030. But Kenya is still far from it. PhD in Plant Ecology: Influence of Human Activities on Land Use Changes on Environmental Quality of Riparian Ecosystems, a case study of Siwa Watershed, Western Kenya. In addition to the PhD, the President holds bachelor's degree in botany and zoology and a master's degree in plant ecology, all from the University of Nairobi. Ruto authored several papers including a paper titled Plant Species Diversity and Composition of Two Wetland in the Nairobi National Park, Kenya.
How did slave trade start in Africa? Slavery in northern Africa dates back to ancient Egypt. The New Kingdom, 1558 to 1080 BC, brought large numbers of slaves as prisoners of war up the Nile Valley and used them for domestic and supervised labor. Ptolemaic Egypt, 305 BC to 30 BC, used both land and sea routes to bring in slaves. More than 8 out of 10 Africans forced into the slave trade crossed the Atlantic between 1700 and 1850. The decade 1821 to 1830 saw more than 80,000 people a year leaving Africa in slave ships. Well over 1 million more, 1/10 of those carried off in the slave trade era, followed within the next 20 years. Africa's food systems confront a multitude of challenges, not limited to climate change, biodiversity depletion, pollution, conflict, migration, external crises, and shocks. Furthermore, regulatory impediments, inadequate funding and infrastructure deficiencies compound these issues. Africa can feed the world, Dar es Salaam, the 19th of September, 2023. Delegates numbering more than 5,000 and representing over 90 countries converged to explore strategies to harness Africa's vast potential in expediting the development of regional, national and sub-national food systems that would not only benefit the continent but also the entire world. The dynamics of poverty within Kenya are changing and directly influence the country's agricultural sector. Currently 46% of the population live on less than $1 a day, 36.5% are food insecure, and 35% of children under 5 are stunted, chronically malnourished, in Kenya. The country's population has increased significantly, growing from 11 million in 1970 to 39.5 million in 2011, and at the current rate of growth, it will be double in the next 27 years, reaching 81 million in 2039. As a result of this rapid increase, land parcels in the areas of high agricultural potential are decreasing in size, affecting food production. According to Food and Agricultural Organization, citizen science may be performed by individuals, teams, or networks of volunteers. Citizen scientists often partner with professional scientists to achieve common goals. Large volunteer networks often allow scientists to accomplish tasks that would be too expensive or time-consuming to accomplish. In execution are where citizen science excels, particularly in the field of conservation biology and ecology. The EPR 2024 regulation imposed a levy that will take effect on June 1 this year, and shippers, exporters and importers argue that it will lead to double taxation, raise the cost of doing business, and make certain imported goods costly. The new regulation that enforces the levy mandates an additional 150 all imports with nylon packaging to be remitted to the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA. But industrial stakeholders, including the Shippers Council of East Africa, SCEA, argue that the cost will be imposed on top of an already existing waste management levy, eco-levy, annual fee currently being paid. Operational costs are likely to be passed down to consumers, leading to higher retail prices for essential products like nappies, sanitaries, detergents, and fabric softeners, affecting low and middle-income households. Top surface area. The most active part of a soil particle is its surface area. A particle's surface is where nutrient exchange takes place. Sand particles have a small surface area relative to their mass, meaning they do not hold onto nutrients well. Clay particles have a large surface area relative to their mass, so a small amount of clay can add a significant amount of surface area to a soil, increasing the nutrient holding capacity. The amount of organic matter in the soil depends primarily on rainfall, air temperature, the kinds of plants that have been growing in a soil, management practices, soil temperature, and drainage. Soils that are tilled frequently are usually low in organic matter because tilling decreases residue particle size and increases the amount of air in the soil, increasing the rate of organic matter decomposition. With the removal of barriers to agricultural development aided by new investments, it is estimated that Africa's agricultural output could increase from $280 billion per year to $1 trillion by 2030. We celebrate the increased investment and the renewed commitment of governments to allocate 10% of public expenditure to agriculture. We applaud the resolve to escape from the shame of dependency on food imports and handouts.
Oil is the real wealth of the nation. On one hand, we are losing the quality of the soil, and on another, farmers are not putting their next generation into farming. This means in another 25 years, we are definitely headed for a major food crisis. When there is no water and food, the level of civil crisis that will happen will demolish the nation in many different ways. People from those rural areas where water completely runs out are going to migrate in large numbers into urban centers. This is not far away. With no infrastructure, they will sit on the streets. But for how long? When there is no food and water, they will break into homes. I am not some kind of a doomsayer, but in the next 8 to 10 years, you will see these situations unless we do something drastic right now.
The study results showed that majority of the respondents, 80% and 82%, felt that leadership and ethics affects governance, has a greater effect on the governance in the counties, while 20% felt that leadership has a small effect on the governance in the county. The study found out that majority of both ethics, 68%, and political alienation, 78%, affects governance. The study concludes that training, ethics, attitude, political alienation, and leadership affects governance. Thus, the study recommends that there is need for county and national government to provide training to staff and establish mechanisms that can promote attitude, ethics, and leadership. Bad governance is mainly the relationship between the governing authority and those being governed due to the decision-making. As a result of the decision-making between the ruling and those who are being ruled, the problem of bad governance arises. External circumstances or decisions, such as violations of central or accepted norms, such as liberal democracy and poor economic policy, generate this unfavorable relationship. Bad governance refers to government-level administration, although lousy and lousy governments are different. Corruption, deception, and the adoption of unfair policies are all examples of bad governance. As a result, other expressions of inadequate management have varying degrees of severity and potential influence in their respective settings. Bad governance. Bad governance refers to how decisions are made in government and business. It is also the polar opposite of good leadership. Bad governance entails systemic corruption and a lack of openness and accountability, arbitrary policymaking, and the deception of those who are ruled. The World Bank defines lousy governance as a country with any or all indicators have values less than or close to -2.5. The following are the World Bank's governance indicators: voice and accountability, rule of law, regulatory quality, control of corruption, government effectiveness. Attaining food security is a complex task for which the primary responsibility rests with individual governments. They have to develop an enabling environment and have policies that ensure peace, as well as social, political, and economic stability and equity and gender equality. It has been argued that a right-to-food approach to food security is not based on vague and replaceable policy goals subject to periodic redefinition, but on existing, comparatively specific and continuously becoming more precise obligations undertaken by governments. There will come a time when only those that know how to plant will be eating. Chief Oran Lions. If you like African food systems content, please subscribe and share our channel with your friends and family, or if you're new here, hit the subscribe button so you make sure to never miss our weekly presentation podcast. Agriculture is tool to create health, wealth, shelter, protect environment, food, nutrition and basic skills development for our local communities. Science integration includes life cycles, parts of a plant, regeneration, nutrients and seed saving, all while students harvest the school garden. The garden is within the playground and consists of 3 large raised beds in which students have grown a wide variety of produce. The EPR 2024 regulation imposed a levy that will take effect on June 1 this year, and shippers, exporters and importers argue that it will lead to double taxation, raise the cost of doing business, and make certain imported goods costly. The new regulation that enforces the levy mandates an additional 150 all imports with nylon packaging to be remitted to the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA. But industrial stakeholders, including the Shippers Council of East Africa, SCEA, argue that the cost will be imposed on top of an already existing waste management levy, eco-levy, annual fee currently being paid. Operational costs are likely to be passed down to consumers, leading to higher retail prices for essential products like nappies, sanitary pads, detergents, and fabric softeners, affecting low and middle-income households. There will come a time when only those that know how to plant will be eating. Chief Oran Lions. If you like African food systems content, please subscribe and share our channel with your friends and family. Or if you're new here, hit the subscribe button so you make sure to never miss our weekly presentation podcast. Agriculture is tool to create health, wealth, shelter, protect environment, food, nutrition and basic skills development for our local communities.